Hello everyone. Today, I have brought a 1995 fantasy film, named, The Indian in the Cupboard. Before we get into the storyline, don't forget to like and subscribe, to get more movie recaps like this, and have a great day. The movie begins with the 9-year-old boy, who named, Omri, running towards his mother as she comes to pick him up from the school. In the next day, it was Omri's birthday, so everyone in the family gathered around to celebrate his birthday. Omri prayed something that he wished for, and blows out the candle lights. Right next to that, everyone in his family gives him some gifts, while his brother gave him a fancy cupboard with no keys, which he found somewhere. Later Omri went out to play with his best friend, Patrick. They both played skateboard for a while, and sit to discuss about skating. Patrick then gifts Omri some Indian toy for his birthday. Back in home, Omri decided to play with the new cupboard which his brother gifted him. However, he don't have keys to unlock the cupboard. So he searched for some keys in his mom's room, and finally finds out a key which fits for his cupboard. Later his mom suggests him to keep the Indian toys, which Patrick gifts him, inside the cupboard. Omri also likes this idea, so he kept the toys inside the cupboard and locked it, and went to read a storybook with his mom. And in the next morning, Omri wakes up with some strange sound coming from the cupboard. He went straight to it and opened the cupboard and noticed a small Indian man inside it. He was delighted to see the tiny man, and when he was about to touch him with his finger, the man becomes scared at the huge figure in front of him, and pulls out the knife to Omri. And when Omri's dad came to pick him up to school, he shuts the cupboard and gone with him. At school, throughout the school hours Omri is anxious, and badly wants to get back to the cupboard to see the Indian man. After school, Omri rushes to his room and opened the door to see the man, but disappointed Omri saw only Indian toy statue. In upset he went out of his room, and while his mom asked him about his depression, he told that he was just sick. At night when Omri about to sleep, he hears the sound from the cupboard again. He rushes to the cupboard and open it, then he finds out the man again. The two of them gets to know each other, and the Indian man calls himself as Little Bear, and he also told that he was from 1761. Omri then makes a tiny home for Little Bear, and asks him to spend the night inside it. Later Omri wants to test the power of cupboard, so he picks few more superhero toys, and placed inside the cupboard and then he closes the door. After a few seconds, he opened the cupboard and was surprised to find out that his toys turned into warriors, and fighting one another like a game. He is scared and took the toys and packed them up, and goes to bed. The next day, Omri wakes up by the Indian toy, Little Bear. They both talked as about making tools for him. Then Omri took the little bear outside his room, by placing him in a box to hide from others. They both went to the garden, and when Little Bear looking through the garden, he was attacked by a bird. Omri shoots it away from him, and Little Bear asks for the help to treat his injury. Omri tries to help him, but it was hard for him to treat Little Bear by himself. So he picks up a medic toy and places it inside the cupboard, and when he opens the door again after a while, a living medic appears. Then Omri bring him to Little Bear to have a look for his wound. Once he took care of Little Bear, Omri placed the living tiny medic inside the cupboard again, and he tells him that he only need his help, and so only Omri turns him into real. The tiny medic salute him, and when he closed the cupboard, at the right time Omri's mom came to his room to wake him up. But she was surprised to know that he woke up early. Later Omri brings him soil plate and gives all the necessary things to Little Bear to build a little house for him. Little Bear asks him hatchet, so Omri turns out Toy Knight into a living and remove his hatchet, and return him to Toy again. At school, Omri told everyone about his cupboard experience, but none of them believes him, only Patrick has a hint of what's brewing. When Omri returns home, he was surprised to see the tiny house which is built by Little Bear. Omri went out to buy some stuff for Little Bear, and in the way he saw Patrick and they both gets back to home. At that moment, Omri noticed his room door and open, and he rushes inside it and noticed his brothers checking the small house. They both ask Omri that how he built this small house by himself. To manipulate them, Omri kicks his brother's ball out of the room, and make them to go after it. Then Patrick met Little Bear, and they both introduced to each other. But Patrick was confused, that how Omri turns you into real man. Then when Omri was about to show him about it, Omri's dad calls him downstairs. Before Omri leaves he asks Patrick to not touch the cupboard till he return. But before he comes back, Patrick puts a horse-riding cowboy in the cupboard. When he opens, the cowboy pops out, and when he is about to falls off the table, he was saved by Omri. But the cowboy shoots at Patrick, and also shoots near Little Bear. Omri immediately picks Cowboy and placed him inside the drawer. But Little Bear was angry at Omri but transpired later. At night, Cowboy and Little Bear gets into fight. Little Bear fires his arrow, and Cowboy fires his gun. But later Omri wakes up from his sleep and make them settle. One day, Patrick and Omri finds a toy woman for Little Bear. Because Little Bear told that he wants wife for him. So Omri shows the toy woman to Little Bear, and when he was about to place her in the cupboard, he found out that the cupboard was missing. He went straight to his brother's room in search of it. His brother asked him to return his ball, to get back the cupboard. Omri immediately brings him the ball, and then his brother returned the cupboard. But the key is missing. So now they can't create the wife for Little Bear. Omri later finds the key under his floorboard, and with the help of Little Bear he took back the key, because it was a small hole. After that, when Omri was ready to turn the toy woman to real tiny woman, Little Bear tells him that she also had her own life, so it's better if they let her be. And he also added that she may be with her husband, friends, and children, so we don't need to separate them. Omri feels that Little Bear was right, so Omri realized that Little Bear and Cowboy life also have to turn into the real state. So he puts them back into cupboard to return where they belongs. And Patrick and Omri together told goodbye to Little Bear and then closed the door. In the next day at school, Omri finishes up his narration of his cupboard, and added he is no longer worrying about Cowboy and Little Bear. And the movie ends here. If you like the story, then do watch the full film. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Kindly like the video, and subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell, so you don't miss any of my new videos. See you on the next video.